if you want to bring your testosterone levels up, beside all of these over-the-counter supplements, just proper sleep will give you the most bang for your buck when you're spending all this money on supplements, right? And icing your nuts alongside of that upon waking sometime in the afternoon and before bed. Sweet freaking testosterone levels. Give it a try. Here's a list of over-the-counter supplements which are known to increase testosterone levels through several pathways. There's KSM-66 ashwagandha root extract, which lowers cortisol levels and can thus increase testosterone secretion. Tongkat Ali is known to increase testosterone levels. Fedosia agressus is known to increase luteinizing hormone levels, which downstream can increase testosterone levels. Tribulus terrestris, your mileage might vary on an increase of testosterone levels. Boron actually lowers SHBG and might actually promote conversion of testosterone into estradiol, but it will certainly increase your free testosterone levels if taken twice per day. But again, depending on your dietary practices, your mileage might vary. Vitamin C, vitamin D3, vitamin E, magnesium, zinc, selenium, fish oil, taurine, and carnitine all contribute to testosterone synthesis intratesticularly. Consider these building blocks in the process of testosterone synthesis. D-aspartic acid and fenugreek might be able to increase testosterone levels. What has worked really well for me in the past was icing my testicles when I was off cycle and taking all of these over-the-counter supplements to boost my testosterone levels somewhat. Icing the testicles really works. There's not so much scientific evidence to prove it, but there's a lot of anecdotal reports of men doing this particular practice and noticing a significant boost in their libido and overall total testosterone levels, proven with blood work. You put an ice pack in a towel, strategically place that underneath your nuts for 20 minutes to bring the temperature down. And when you remove the ice pack, new blood rushes into the area, assuming you don't have a terrible varicocele. New blood rushes into the area. And if you take these over-the-counter supplements with the building blocks for testosterone synthesis and spermatogenesis, then this blood is full with nutrients going into the testicles and boosting testosterone levels and spermatogenesis if you do this 3 times daily. It's a little bit cumbersome, but it works. Some guys swear by red light therapy. I never really done that. Some guys even swear by lifting their butt cheeks up and angling their scrotum to the sun, right? Whatever you prefer. I'll leave it entirely up to you. And then sleep. Yes, sleeping according to your circadian rhythm, at least 8 hours per night, is probably the best testosterone boosting method you can incorporate, right? So if you want to bring your testosterone levels up, beside all of these over-the-counter supplements, just proper sleep will give you the most bang for your buck when you're spending all this money on supplements, right? And icing your nuts alongside of that upon waking sometime in the afternoon and before bed. Sweet freaking testosterone levels. Give it a try. Now, again, with some of these over-the-counter supplements and best practices, your mileage might vary. Some people respond better to certain supplements than other people do. And if you don't want to go through the trials and error process to figure out which of these supplements or best practices are actually working, right? Trying one supplement or best practices for a week or two and then doing blood work in between to see what is actually working. Maybe in the beginning of boosting your testosterone levels, you just stick with an over-the-counter testosterone booster like Gorilla Mind Sigma, and you combine that with Gorilla Mind Calm and AR, which contains carnitine, and perhaps Actiplex or Turkplex for your intake of ecdysterones, solo or in combination. Personally, I found that a combination of ecdysterone and turkesterone works better than taking them solo. So maybe you give that a trial run for 1, 2, or 3 months to see how much of a change you can get on your total testosterone levels and how much of an anabolic response you get by the addition of ecdysterone and turkesterone. It's worthy of a trial run. You can find discount codes down below so you can save yourself some money while undergoing this process. And if you're successful, since elevated testosterone and estradiol ultimately helps with collagen synthesis, which is essential for muscle building and the recovery process, especially when you combine that with compounds that stimulate protein synthesis and collagen synthesis, namely turkesterone and ecdysterone, then why don't we try to optimize this entire process with several over-the-counter supplements to provide all of the building blocks needed for adequate protein synthesis and collagen synthesis. So here's the Half-Natty approved protein and collagen synthesis optimization stack containing vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, B vitamins, copper, zinc, silica, glycine and proline, leucine, HMB, whether that's HMB calcium or free acids, hydrolyzed collagen peptides type 1 and 3, hydrolyzed collagen peptide type 2, GHK, GHK copper, palmitate GHK, micronized progesterone, and even medical interventions, including microneedling and fractional laser therapy. Now, a combination of most of these over-the-counter supplements can be found in Gorilla collagen peptides. It's linked down below. Obviously, a GHK copper, a GHK, palmitate GHK, those are injectable and topical formulas. Micronized progesterone is very potent for collagen synthesis and overall protein synthesis, albeit that it might be HPTA suppressive at higher dosages. So if you go with micronized progesterone, I would only take this when you're recovering from an injury, when you're out of competition, and you need the maximum amount of collagen synthesis to take place to recover from surgery or a terrible injury that you're now bedridden from, in which case you would also combine that with GHK or GHK copper to help with the incisions and to kind of slowly recover the connective tissue or the micro injuries that you might have sustained, because GHK and GHK copper or palmitate GHK is excellent for collagen synthesis. All of the dosages of these supplements and peptides or progesterone are on the screen. And with that out of the way, part of the anabolic response is having super physiologic levels of growth factors and peptide hormones floating around in the body at all times, which you can actually stimulate with several WADA-approved compounds. Here we see that the erythropoietins, EPO, and similar compounds in mimetics are banned under S2 peptide hormones, growth factors, related substances, and mimetics segment S.1.1 erythropoietin receptor agonists, and then they go into the specifics. But we can still boost hematocrit and red blood cell counts using various methods and over-the-counter supplements. We can provide the building blocks for the Half-Natty approved oxygen carrying capacity optimization stack in the form of vitamin B9, vitamin B12, vitamin C, iron, copper, and then using altitude masks or living at high altitude or stimulating high altitude with hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and then using myoinositol tripyrophosphate to increase the oxygen affinity of the hemoglobin, allowing for more oxygen transport through the red blood cells without increasing red blood cell count. So you can improve red blood cell count with these over-the-counter supplements, right? The vitamins, the iron, the copper, then stimulating red blood cell production by reducing the oxygen in the environment. Obviously, you don't want to combine that with the hypoxin because that kind of defeats the purpose. So maybe increase your red blood cell count using altitude masks, living at high altitude, or using the hyperbaric oxygen chamber while increasing the oxygen affinity with myoinositol tripyrophosphate using the loading phase and maintenance phase, which is discussed on the screen. You can go from the loading phase to the maintenance phase once the nootropic and endurance benefits are noticeable. Keep in mind that ITPP is actually banned in several sports federations, but it's not specifically mentioned in the WADA prohibited list of 2025. And then you can use a dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitor, which there are many of, to prevent the breakdown of erythropoietin and other growth factors. But we'll get into the DPP4Is when we get to the growth factor and growth factor modulator segment of the WADA prohibited list and discuss alternative options.